You know, just up the road from here is the reservation for the Poarch Band of Creek Indians. A lot of people have probably heard about them, but maybe might not know a whole lot.
Yes, well, there are many Indian tribes throughout the country, but when we talk about the Poarch Band of Creek Indians, this is the only federally recognized tribe in the state of Alabama, and it achieved that status back in 1984 after a decades-long, pretty arduous process.
The band has about 2,400 members and a 229-acre reservation that's located just northwest of Atmore. The Poarch Creeks have tribal sovereignty. It means they have their own constitution, their own government, and public safety that operates on the reservation.
Over the last several decades, they have built so much, and they are so proud of that, really invested in their community. But the history of the Creek Indians, gosh, it stretches back several generations, hundreds of years.
WKRG News 5's Bill Riles digs deep into that history.
It's one-stop shopping thanks to the Poarch Creek Museum. We teamed up with knowledgeable tour guide Blake Crook to show you the rich history of the Creek Nation over hundreds of years and information about things that maybe you only thought you knew. For example,
the name Creek Indians is actually a nickname given to us by the Europeans because our villages, what we call idowas, were always located next to a creek or a riverbank.
And if you expect to see what you may consider to be the traditional Native American garb, feathered headdress, or if you expected to see teepees, think again.
This is a bird's eye view of what a creek town or a creek idowa would look like. One of the things I like to point out is you don't see any teepees. So one of the things we like to do here is debunk stereotypes and myths that people have about Native Americans. So throughout the United States, there's over 570 tribes, each with their own distinct cultures, languages, stories, and backgrounds.
For the Creeks, keeping their culture alive for future generations, especially their native language, is of utmost importance.
So the Muskogee language, it still exists. We have about 5 people on staff. Their entire job is to learn and to teach the language.
You'll find out about the Creek Civil War, called the Red Stick War. One faction, known as Red Sticks, fought against other Creeks who were more willing to assimilate with white settlers and the United States in the early 1800s.
So it kind of gives you an idea of the sides that were being taken during the Red Stick movement or the Creek Wars.
And later, the utter destruction of the Creek Nation as the Native American vast regions of the Southeast were rounded up and moved to reservations in Oklahoma. It was known, of course, as the Trail of Tears. But what you may not know is that some Creeks were left behind or managed to escape, leading to lives in extreme poverty.
Relying on each other. And so this kind of time period became known as the Forgotten Creeks.
Things improved for the Creeks in the early 1900s with the arrival of Episcopal missionaries.
Missionaries came in and they provided health care, and they also kept records, which was very, very consequential in the federal recognition process.
That federal recognition of the tribe wouldn't come until 1984. These are the original documents and research used to press the federal government to recognize the tribe's sovereignty. But the effort started long before, with much credit going to the first elected chief of the tribe, Calvin McGee. Earlier, I told you that these Native Americans didn't wear the feathered headdress, but McGee found as he met with public officials, he wasn't being taken seriously.
So he said, I guess I need to look Indian in order to prove that. And so he began to wear this attire, and people bought into it.
The chief is honored on each tribal election day, called the Chief Calvin McGee Memorial Day. Bill Riles, WKRG News 5.